So in the previous class, we were discussing about the organizational structure. Understood what is the model which was given by Mitzberg. So Mitzberg talked about a shape, the shape of the organization in the form of 6 building blocks. The first one being ideology, strategic apex, middle line which is supported by the technostructure and the support staff and the operating core. After that, he also explained about the coordinating mechanism. Then, based on the um, organizational structure which has suggested and the coordinating mechanism, then he clubbed these two things to mention about what are the different types of organizational structure. So we see that simple structure, machine bureaucracy, professional bureaucracy, divisionalized units, that is when the organization is split into smaller units, then ad hocracy and innovative ad, organization structures. Example given was advertising agency. Then we understood depending on the size of the organization, if it is small in size, it would be called as entrepreneur, or as the size keeps increasing, then we've understood about functional, divisional, and the large organizations are called as matrix. Then centralized and decentralized. Centralized, the decision making power lies with the top management, whereas decentralized, the decision making power is passed on to the other levels of management, wherein the manager is given the authority to take decisions and also he's made responsible for the decisions he takes. Then we have understood about depending on the span of control, if the span of control is less and um, the the size is tall, then there are many hierarchical managerial levels in the hierarchy. Another thing is which is flat, which wherein the span of control is wide, but there are very few managerial levels. Then on this note, in fact, actually we have ended that the finance function framework now is taken over by other aspects wherever it was accounting and guidance. Now that is taken over by technology and automation. Then finance function professionals and competencies are used to replace the management and guidance. So the role of technology has taken over the finance function. So how it has happened, what changes happened is what we will discuss in today's class in detail. So historically, the organizations focused on organizational efficiencies and to reduce operational costs. Now, the technology, when technology is taking over the jobs in the organizations, conventionally whatever was done with the help of human resources, now they are being replaced by technology. Fine. So technology now allows machines to monitor operational costs and patterns of organizational efficiency. So the controlling of the cost or the operational efficiency also is monitored by machines. Then um, we've understood that this change which is replacing the human beings, so when the work is carried on by the machines and human beings are now left with no work, in that scenario it should be looked into as how well can these human resources be placed in some other position wherein they can think about expansion or expanding their work. So it should be looked as an opportunity but not a threat, is a suggestion. Then it can refocus its energy on revenue and value creation, working with others and across the organization to drive business transformation and to create shareholder value. Okay. So instead of just laying them off, instead of removing them from service, they should be put to work with some other um, departments or peoples or groups in the organization, so that they can come out with innovative ideas and innovative thinking. So that should be taken up. So that is how it should be considered as an opportunity but not as a threat. So shape of the organization. Conventionally we see that this is the other day also we have discussed about the shape of the organization. So it's in the form of a pyramid shape. At the top we see the top management, then the middle level management, then we see the operating level management. So that's the shape. So there are many people at the bottom who are involved in implementation or the operational level. Then the middle level, which takes up the planning to achieve what the top level management has initially decided about what the organization as a whole will be doing. So whatever is planned by the top management, how would they be able to achieve that is planned by the middle level management. But we see that the shape has now changed. So there is a split in this, there is a segregation. We see at this point of so at the top we see the top management, then in between there is a segregation, there is a party division kind of thing. It's basically two different things what has happened. So this concept talks about the work is carried on in this organization but not necessarily in the same place. So the work whatever has to be carried on, so the planning part of it is intact, that's taken up by the top management. After the planning part of it, um, the work when it has to be carried out, this work, the implementation part of this, the work is carried out in a shared service center. So that's what we will see. We'll come back to this one because there's one more figure which is present there. We have to understand that. So the initial shape of the hierarchical, that is the pyramid shape of hierarchy, this is, it talks about the traditional hierarchical triangle can be understood in the context of three roles of enabling, shaping, and narrating how. So we have understood about that. So narrating how is the role of the top management. They take care of the reporting part of it. See, enabling how is the role of the low level or the operational level management. So they are involved in planning, forecasting, and resource allocation. Then shaping how the performance management and then any control measures to be taken is taken up by the middle level management. And finally, whatever is the result is reported by the top management. That is about narrating how. So that's how the work was carried out. But then the shape now is a segregated shape. The top management decides about what the organization would be doing, and then finally the summary part of it is also reported by the top management. But the work is not carried out in the same place. There is a shared service center where the operational work is carried on for all the units at a single place. So it says over the last 20 years, the shape has migrated from a traditional hierarchical shape to a segregated triangle. The bottom section of the segregated triangle represents the finance function activity carried out by a shared service center SSC. The centralization of routine processing into one place. Establishment of SSC driven by two main factors. What are they? Why did they think about it? What is the reason? Now here SSC, what is SSC? When we look into what is SSC, SSC talks about a shared service center may be established for a particular activity of the organization. So the activity, the operational activity is all carried out at um, a particular place or a unit where maybe in one area, one location, this is set up. So the, for example, if the manufacturing of any particular product is to be considered, so instead of having a manufacturing unit at all the locations where these offices are set up, instead of that, manufacturing plant is located in one place, and from there, the produced product is moved out to the other places where the organization is set up. So the entire activity is carried on at that particular place. So here we see that now they do not have to decide about what planning should be taken up and how they would produce. That planning is not at all needed, because the work is planned at another location where the activity unit is set up. So the planning also will be taken up. So once the activity is completed, so that is transferred back to the individual units. Sometimes we see that even if there is an imported product, we do not have the unit. First thing, that a foreign company will not have their manufacturing unit in the domestic country, and moreover it is just that the manufacturing will be carried out there in their country, and the components are exported or they are imported uh, into the country, they are assembled and then they are sold. So instead of having a manufacturing unit here in every country wherever they are placed, the manufacturing of all the components will be carried out from one location, and then later on it would be transferred or sent to other places. It says that SSC may be established for a particular activity of the organization. The term describes a situation whereby a usually large multinational organization with processing centers in all or several of the countries in which it operates chooses to consolidate these activities at one site. So there is only one place where the operating activity is carried on. Okay, at one site or shared service center. This is sometimes referred to as internal outsourcing. So we should not get confused with this concept to be as outsourcing. The outsourcing is assigning the work to an external entity. So the external entity will take up that piece of work, they complete that, and then they send it to the organization. So the rest of the work will be carried out. Here it is outsourced, but it is not to an external entity. Within the organization, only one unit takes up that operating activity. So once the operating activity is carried out, then the benefits are moved to the other units of the organization and the work is carried out. So one important part of the work is not carried on in the same place. So therefore we see that there is a split in the image. So that image is called as a segregated um, shape of the finance function. Then we see the next one to be as a diamond shape. That's a digital age. So what happened to this uh, shape? See, one more important point, why there is a segregated shape? Why did they end up having a segregated shape? Why did they consider of manufacturing the output at one single location and then that's been transferred to the other location? So that is an important point. Why did they consider about manufacturing the output at one particular location? Uh, so there are certain reasons, certain I mean, there must be some reason behind that. So what are the two main factors? What has resulted in SSCs being established in the organization? First one is globalization. So globalization talks about many organizations grew in size with operations and processing centers in several countries. Then an SSC enables the consolidation of these activities to one side. Instead of having a unit in every country wherever their presence is there, instead of that, the work is carried on at one particular location. On one site, the work is carried on, and then that is moved to the other units of the same organization. Then because of advances in technology, so it says that enabling automation of many of the lower level tasks carried out by the finance function. So because of technology, because instead of having this technology installed in many places, technology is installed at one place, and they seek to get benefit out of that by carrying out the main operational activity at one particular location. Okay. So the traditional shape, we see that it is in the form of a pyramid. So that's the shape of the conventional shape. But now we understand that it is not now no longer in the pyramid shape, but it has taken the shape of a diamond. What happened? We see that at the bottom, it has narrowed down. The top is also is not a pinnacle like we see here. The top also has flattened. The central part of it, we see that there is a little bulge there. So the same figure is now changed into a diamond shape. So what actually is the reason? So when we see that it is in the form of a pyramid, the bottom is truncated, it is eliminated. So that's what has happened. See, this is a triangle, but the bottom part of it is cut or truncated. Why did that happen? Because the bottom level is the level where the operational work is carried out. Many routine nature jobs are taken up. That's only the implementation part of it. Decision making is at a higher level. So decision making is not carried out. Only whatever is planned is being implemented. But in the organization structure, we see that technology has taken over many roles. On account of that, when technology has taken over many roles, whatever work was a repetitive, simple, only implementation, no decision is needed. The same piece of work has to be carried out